Hola, colegas. That was really hard for whoever that was watching. That was a good performance from us, at least. But as some of us thought it would be hard for us to win this game, we played much better than the expectation was. But this will be a hard one to take, and there's no two ways about it. And the reality is, I think Madrid have about two more games on us, and Atleti about one. So by the time the season, kind of the halfway point of the season ends, we'll be about 5 points and 6 points adrift of the leaders, and end the halfway at third. Not a terrible thing to do, but we could have been out of sight by this time, especially even in this game. If you look at the XG, the number of chances that we got, and so on, and I think we'll come to it, and we have discussed about it. But I don't think this is about you know Flick or Xavi or something. I think somewhere you've got to hold the players responsible as well. Tom.
Yeah, it's a tough one to swallow, as you said. It's the result is what it is. The performance is also a completely different thing, right? So there's definitely positives here, and that's one way to look at this game because there are positives. So I think we should and we will focus on them as well for a little bit, at least. Um, Obviously, the result is far from ideal because, as I said, the table is what it is. Atletico have a game in hand as well, if I'm not mistaken. So this is now quite a hill to climb, I would say, because we are in a position where when we don't play well, we don't win, and when we do play well, we still don't win, and even lose as we saw tonight, right? So it's very much a slump. It's a slump of sorts, and it's up to us to kind of climb out of there. Now, what can Flick actually do? Is there any actionable solution that he can implement right now? I don't know because this was it, right? This tonight was like the perfect setup. It was like the perfect performance for like 45 minutes or even an hour. For an hour, Atletico couldn't do anything, right? They couldn't get out of their half. They couldn't muster a single chance. And then one mistake, one shot, one goal, that's it. Then
That's
you
it.
level. And then obviously you're kind of rushing forward. You're trying to do a lot more. And then, of course, a goal happens in the last second of the game. So it's a bit of a it's a tough pill to swallow, I would say. It's just one of those nights as well that could have ended like 4 or 5-0 in our favor. I said at one point in the first half, I said, okay, if we score now soon, if we score in the next couple of minutes, we steamroll them 4-0, right? That was my mindset. That was kind of my view of the game at that point. And then as soon as that didn't happen, I was like, okay, now we're getting into the tricky territory where you have a 1-0 lead, you had a near perfect half, and now if the laws of football are what they usually are, and they always are, the momentum is going to shift, right? This is the part where the opposition actually get their own chance, and that's what ended up happening. But yeah, let's we can start somewhere. We can start somewhere. See what the people are saying in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, people are. If we all saw the same game, they'll say the same thing that this is on the players. But the thing is, it's been there for a while. This is the sixth game on the trot, um, and I think the way it's going with the bench strength that we have. Uh, if we are behind by 6 points, doesn't mean that the league has ended. Doesn't mean that we won't get a chance again. We will, uh, but it will be hard. We'll have to depend on others to do our job. It won't not be just in our hands anymore. So that's the hard part of this, and then we just still do not have the players who can come in and change the dynamic a little bit. Now we can obviously say that yeah, the players that we have are good enough to continue, and they are to an extent. But today, and in a lot of other games as well, they have been found lacking. And I don't know whether that's a flick. I definitely don't think that's a flick or a Xavi problem. Um, it is a problem, and has been the dependable. Oh no, the way we could depend on a bunch of players to always get those scores in for us has been missing, and yeah, we just have to find a way out of that. But yeah, this is a tough one for La Liga for sure.
It is, and I don't know. It's almost like okay, Liga is obviously the priority, but this team, um, we talked about this before. This team is kind of built for the Champions League a bit more, just because simply because play this style of football where you can actually beat anyone on your good day, right? And in the Champions League, theoretically, you don't have to play that many games, even though now you obviously have to play more than usual. But it's still a smaller sample, a smaller schedule than La Liga, obviously. And it's obvious that we have a team that's kind of lacking in that depth to compete over a 36 game stretch, playing at the same level of intensity and quality, right? We don't have that. Now the
But did
problem
we
is,
have that with Xavi 2 seasons ago? Tom, to be entirely honest, let's be
yeah,
really
but
honest.
that was a whole season of overperformance. That was a whole season of defensive overperformance. Now we did have that at the beginning of this season, only in the other extreme, we were overperforming in the attack, right? And now that it's not the case because we generated like 8 xG in the last three losses that we had, right?
Yeah,
Atletico Madrid, Leganes, what was the third game? I don't remember. But it was
I
like,
think it was too 0.65 today with us. I
yeah,
think we were at 2.7 or something,
yeah.
and we didn't do much.
So we could have scored like 8 goals in our last three defeats. Instead, we scored what, 2 goals, and we lost 3 games. So it's I don't know. It's just one of those periods when nothing's going your way. Well, actually, it was a performance that was really good, but just the finishing didn't go our way. Just the final touch didn't go our way. It's a tough one, but as I said, the positives are there. So we can start with that.
Yeah, let's start with that. And one of the positives, but I don't know. I don't know whether yeah, there's an argument that like just you made that okay, maybe we focus on Champions League this season, but I don't think we're going to win Champions League as well.
No, I
I
don't.
don't
No,
think
no,
so.
no. On pure
I
quality,
think it's the
no.
top four again, and maybe you know, it's just how much money we make from Champions League. We're not going to win that thing. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Copa del Rey again. The format of it is so complicated. I don't want to call upon it, but I don't. I think this is another trophyless season, if you ask me, unless something magically different happens, which is not going to happen in the next half of the season. And that's not a bad thing per se, I would say, because if you imagine when we started the season, we would have taken top four at the state that we were in, with the transfers that we had done and how we were looking at the season at that time. We would have possibly taken that. The start obviously gave us dreams and hopes. That insane start that we had, um, and then over the last 6 games, we kind of hit the nail on our toes
Yeah.
and feet or whatever, and that advantage is completely gone. And this will be hard, like what most of our the viewers are also saying, that it's hard to come back from defeats like this, because in the locker room there'll be a lot of anger, there's a lot of blame, there'll be a lot of tension and so on and so forth. So bring that harmony together is hard. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's just Lewandowski has been struggling. He hit a purple patch in the run up, and we benefited from it, but he's been found wanting in the last 6 games, and it has affected us.
Yeah. See, that's the thing because Barca is such a momentum team. Now I'm really wondering what kind of an effect this has on the whole squad because this is a squad of youngsters, so you can look at it two ways, right? They're very young; they can be affected by these emotional roller coasters a lot, or just simply because they are so young, maybe they brush it off. Maybe they they still retain their hunger and they still retain their will to fight and bite and go all the way because it's not lost yet, right? Okay, so we obviously we are in a far from a perfect situation because we've had this lead at the beginning and now we've blew that completely. Now we're sitting behind Atletico Madrid, who'd have a game in hand as well. So it's not an easy position to be in, but yes, as people are saying, this can be it can be a defining moment in terms of just psychologically and momentum wise because Barca are a very much a momentum team. So so we'll see. And yeah, Rafinha and Lewandowski, I can see their names a lot in the comments.
So do you
And
think,
yeah,
I think, but John, a question. Let's go by points. Let's not go by anything else. Let's just go, like, we are 38 right now. Uh, I think when we won, it was 88 points that we did, and then last season I think it was 84 that we did. I think it'll be hard to reach even those points by the end of the season.
yeah. So you have to look at that, but also compare it to what the other teams are in what shape they are in, right? Real Madrid, I don't think they can comfortably eclipse that number by much either. Now, Atletico Madrid are interesting because they had the exact opposite, right? They started off slowly, now they're picking up pace. So how long can they actually sustain that. That's my main worry
Yeah,
right
I mean,
now.
Atleti is also going to fumble for sure. They can't keep
Exactly.
up this what they're doing. Yeah,
So in theory, you can have a season that has fewer points than last season's winners, as long as the opposition is kind of the same as you are, which they are. I don't think that any team in the Liga now right now is so dominant
clear
that they just
favorite.
yeah
No,
yeah
no,
yeah
there is no clear
purely
favorite in La
purely
Liga.
purely on quality and just sustainability. I don't think so. Atletico are in top form. They are in the best form in the Liga. Absolutely, they are, especially with us win tonight. However, I wouldn't really count on them sustaining this perfect run, quote unquote, all the way through the season. So we don't have to beat our own record from last season or the season before. We just have to beat their performances, right? So, but you said it as well. We don't depend on ourselves anymore. That's the big thing. Although we do have one more game against Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, so we can still kind of turn the tables on them. However, if we
The
all
gap
win
is too much.
the what is the
The
gap?
gap. I mean, if it's a 6 point gap,
Gap.
right, with them, I think just defeating them individually is still not going to be enough. We'll still have to depend on other teams to defeat them for
Exactly.
us
Yeah.
to gain that advantage and then go forward. That's it's no longer in our hands per se, which was, but we were like 9 points clear. So you can like, it's just yeah, difficult. But
Yeah.
okay, let's
That's
talk about Lewandowski. Everybody's going to talk about Lewandowski. Tom, let's talk about Lewandowski. But we said it like I know we saw it in the last 2 seasons when he came in the first season, the first 20 games amazing, and then he struggled. He really struggled. Yes, that was the World Cup year or what have you. So yeah, it passed. Last season he was not very visible. This year with Flick coming in and setting up a system which benefits him, obviously he's shown, and he definitely scored those goals in the first half of the season, which was why we were here. But you can't blame a striker at his age for what he's going through. It's just what it is, and unfortunately he's at the wages that he is, and we, for whatever reason, um, have decided to stick on with him and for one more season. And I don't think that's going to help uh, our situation as it is. And here, at least on this channel, we have always said that even when we were scoring 5 goals in a match, we were always saying that our attack is overperforming. This is not the attack
yeah.
that we actually have. We really need dedicated, known uh, people whom you can count on eyes closed that they will score those 20, 25 goals a season consistently. Yeah, Rafinha has done very well, but look at Rafinha's goals versus Bayern, versus the hat trick that he did, or the goals against that he has done. It's been a case of supreme overperformance, insane overperformance, and that's a good thing. But
Mhm.
you can't count on him consistently to do that because he hasn't done that season on season, right? And Robert Lewandowski has done that season on season, but he's no longer that player. So we definitely need to think about our forward line with the situation that we are in and where we are. We are not in a good place. That's the honest answer. We just
Mhm.
have one Vitor Roque who is also not performing very well. We don't have a so-called. We have Lewandowski, but you can't count on him as a nine, and so on. We have Olmo, but again, Olmo is a specific kind of player. You can't count on him on every game, every situation to come up and deliver the goods. So he's not that player. So we'll have to think about the forward line for sure. Tom.
Yes, we will have to. Lewandowski is it's kind of tough because yes, on one hand he is like 36, 7, whatever age he is. So yes, there are things that he won't be able to do as well as he used to. But at the same time, the things that he's meant to be doing, I don't think he's lost that, right? So the chances missing the box, like he's still the best separation striker inside the area. Well, not the best, but one of the very elite ones, right? He can still do that. He can create his own separations. He can score the goals, create his own angles, create these shooting opportunities that no one else can, right? So the things that he's meant to be doing, he's doing very, very well. Now, of course, there's the question of how much football should Barca number 9 generate, right? Should he just be a goal scoring machine, or does he have to have this hold up play, link up play? Does he have to press like a maniac? Does he have to have crisp passing, so on and so forth, right? So that's the question. What are we expecting from Lewandowski? What do we want Lewandowski to do? Because at the end of the day, if all he has to do is score the goals and he's failing to do that, then we have a major problem. However, if we want number nine to be more than just that goal scoring machine, again, we have a problem because Lewandowski's obviously not that. As you said, he's not that nine anymore, so we can't really expect him to do those things. However, we do expect from him, if he's going to be a starting number nine, is to score goals, especially when they are serving a similar player for him, which they have been. Well, on numerous occasions, I would say, where he just fumbled it, and that's not really an acceptable level because those are the things that you expect him to do well, regardless of his form, of his age, even. Those things he should not be losing those things with age. Sure, yes, there's a slight drop off, but these are the aspects of the football that do not really they don't really suffer as much with age. Certain things suffer a lot, but that I don't think that suffers a lot with age, right?
No, so and to your point, and to others, like we're not making excuses for Lewandowski, right? We can blame him, and we are blaming him that he's not, and we have said the same thing last season as well. He's not good enough anymore.
Mhm.
My point has always been that okay, his first season was good, and that's it. That's okay. You cannot depend on him as your primary striker anymore. Not in a team like Barca.
Yeah.
Right. But the question is, the fact is now, if we are expecting that, okay, Lewandowski should leave on his own and go, that's not going to happen because he's got a contract, he's making money. Any of us in that situation are not going to leave on our own and go away. We are going to fulfill that contract, we're going to get that bag, and then we will leave. And that's what Lewandowski will do,
Mhm.
right? That's what anybody, any footballer will do. That's what Frankie de Jong is doing, by the way. That's what Ansu Fati is doing, by the way. Everybody is doing that. They all have contracts, they're all staying. Nobody's leaving. So you can't blame them for that because we gave them those contracts. You can blame them for not playing well, which is fine, which we are all saying that no, they are not. And they have not been performing, not for one season, but for multiple seasons. And which is where we are saying that we need change. And these positions need change and these players need change. But unfortunately, the reality is we won't be having change because we don't have the money. One. Two, even if you had the money, who's going to come in into this Barca? I don't see a top level player coming to play for this Barca. Why would they come? They want to go to a winning project. Is this a winning project yet? I don't think so. So just for everybody who's saying that we are making excuses for Lewandowski, we're not. He's just not been to the level that is required in many matches. And when he has been good, he has been good. Like the first half of the season, he was very good, great. But we have been saying consistently that he cannot keep this up, and now it's showing.
Yeah, so I think most people would just forget about most of the build-up stuff, the passing, all that stuff. If he was just scoring the goals, the chances that we give them, which we have been giving him, then most of these other issues, even the other position issues, would kind of be not brushed off, but people will look at, okay, at least he's scoring goals. But if he's not giving you goals, what else does he give you over a Ferran Torres or over, I don't know, even a Rafinha number nine? So you can have a theoretically you can have players there that will give you more um, if Lewandowski is not in his goal scoring form. So that there is an argument there to be made because I'm seeing some Ferran Torres shouts in the comments, and yes, you guys, you're absolutely right because maybe Ferran would give you more, and Ferran has, he's very inconsistent with his goals as well, but he also does generate a lot of those goal scoring chances just by being there, just by moving well. So it gives you more dynamism, it gives you more movement, gives you more pressing, obviously, out of position as well. So there is an argument there to actually make a change and see if we do better or worse without Lewandowski in the team. So there's definitely an argument to be made in that. But yeah, as people are saying here, Cristiano Ronaldo, age 40. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo is just a different type of. He's a different beast altogether. But yes, I see your point exactly. I mean, Lewandowski, as I said, Lewandowski's goal scoring is something that should not suffer even with his age currently. The rest should suffer. Yeah, absolutely can, but the goal scoring not as much.
Yeah,
Uh,
and frankly speaking, I don't know, like the kind either the team is not mature enough to set him up in that way. He's definitely not one of those players who will create goals out of nowhere, right? He's not that player, and his finishing isn't what it used to be. His ability to be in the right position in the right time isn't what it used to be. So and it is inevitable. Like how many years would you expect a top striker in that level to be like that? So time takes its toll on everybody. It is taking a toll on him. Unfortunately, we have him. That's it. That's
hmm.
basically it. And if he leaves, right? Let's assume that he leaves, right, tomorrow. Let's go with this argument. Okay, Lewandowski is gone. Okay, so we save his wages. Which striker is going to come into Barca right now to play? It's not just about the money for top strikers. They will go to a winning project. They want to win trophies, right? Do we have a team to win trophies consistently for 4, 5, 6 years? We don't. That's just the truth. So, which striker is going to come in and take the place of Lewandowski and do consistently better what we are expecting? That is the main question, right? Lewandowski can go.
Yeah, it's a problem because not many players, even the players that are in the on the market, not many just come into this team, and as we said numerous times, and just left this project so much. Right? There's only like a handful of names that can do that, and most of those names are not available. So it's not an easy task to replace Lewandowski. But I still believe if we can mitigate these flaws in possession and out of possession, which is a very difficult task to do, by the way, if we can get past that and just have Lewandowski be Lewandowski inside the box, and if he can be that Lewandowski inside the box, I think most of these issues or conversations would be, at least not as harsh on him. Because then I still believe that if he's getting this service consistently, that he will start scoring again. He will score more goals for Barcelona. Now, is it going to be enough to compensate for the lack of general football that he generate or doesn't generate when it comes to the other phases of attack and even defense? That's the big question for me. That is it worth it? Because his goal scoring output needs to be as high as we need to be to compensate for the lack of everything else, right? That's the thing for Lewandowski. He needs to be an elite goal scorer. He can be that. He can be that. But now it's the question of how can he get back into that form again, and can he then retain that form? But yes, Fermin Lopez next. Yes, sure, let's do Fermin Lopez because I think he was the weak
But
link
he's
tonight.
not a winger. He's never been a winger. I don't know why Flick uses him as a winger consistently, Tom. I think Xavi got his position right and used him that way. But I don't know if Fermin Lopez is a winger.
Well, he is. I'll counter that point. He is because in the U squad he was always a left winger. So he was
But
most.
yes, but in the last 2 seasons when he was actually performing and scoring, he wasn't doing that from the wing.
I think the left winger role can suit him nicely if he's done. So if he's a Ferran Torres type of left winger who just gets into the box a lot, just starts wide, inverts inside, and then gets into the box into goal scoring positions. Yes, he's not a withholding winger. He's not a dribbly winger. He's not a technical winger. None of these stuff. So it's about what type of winger do you expect him to be. Now tonight he was a weak link, apart from pressing, counter pressing, dismarking, and just being in the box. Although he didn't score or make any like big threat. Okay, but and I still think that he wasn't that good, right? I still think he was a weak link. I would play him as a left winger or as a number 10 if it was up to me. Just you need to. It's always about profiles, right? You can't expect him to be the same type of left winger as Rafinha or as Leao or as Lamine Yamal, whatever, right? But I still believe that the inverted left winger, like an inside striker from the left, that's what he can do well. Now tonight he wasn't. I don't think he was good enough. I just don't think that he was good enough. But he did do a lot of good movements that dismarked Balde, creative options for Balde, creative options for the eights inside as well, because Pedri was moving in, Gavi was moving in, and Fermin was creating a lot of that space for them as well. So that's the good of him. And the counter pressing was good as well, because now you have actually a winger who presses from the outside instead of just tucking inside as usual, which means that Balde can stay deeper now. Balde can stay deeper on his man and he can actually cover centrally and deeper on the wide areas. It can help the midfielders, which means it decreases the area that midfielders have to defend. So in theory, and it was working really, really well in the first half, this pressing system with Fermin being the wide left winger when he presses was working quite well. Right. So I like that. That was the good part. The bad part was that in attack, apart from being a utility tool, which means just doing things in favor of others or as a favor to others, he wasn't doing much by himself, right? When he got the ball, he wasn't doing much with the ball. And that was a big, big problem for me as well. Yeah.
Right. Okay, let someone tell John Laporta, line can only take you so far, but eventually you'll be exposed. Now, I don't know. I understand the Laporta hate. I do. I do. A lot of people hate Laporta, but I don't know what he has got to do with this loss, honestly. I don't know what he has got to do with this loss or Flick has got to do with this loss. Let's just be objective about here. We can all dislike people. That's fine. We have the right to do that. But today, we had the game. We could have
Yeah.
scored 5 goals, and we should have scored 5 goals. So putting this on Laporta or Rafa Yuste or Flick, that's just useless. Nobody can solve this. You got to take those chances and make them happen. That's why you get paid the money that you get paid.
Hmm.
Right? We all go to work and we all do our jobs. I'm sure we all do that, and that's the job. That's why we get paid our salaries. As simple as that. So if you can't do that, that's your problem. That's not your manager's problem. That's not the company CEO's problem, or what have you, and so on. So now the question. Let's go into some of the other things that people are talking about. Um, um, I don't know what people think here. I just don't. Never thought that we had a strong enough team to compete for titles yet. We're not there. We have done a lot of good work in terms of transition. We have moved away from great players and not so good players and what have you, and we are trying to build a project, which have been in the process. But building a project probably takes time. It is easier when you have a lot of money, like let's say Man City. Like Man City started their process in 2009, if I'm not mistaken. From 9 to 15, they built, right? And then they had a little bit of success here and there with Pellegrini and so on and so forth. And then when they were ready, they got Pep. And then also Pep took about 2 seasons, and then they became serial winners. It took about 10 years for them to bid. And then you can see that team today struggle the way they are. So these cycles happen to the best of teams. It doesn't matter on the CEO, or it doesn't matter on a lot of other things. When you lose a core of people, a core of players who have taken your team along and won leagues and titles over 10, 15 years, replacing that is extremely hard, extremely hard. And we've done good in that sense, given the situation we are dealt with, given the debt that we have, given the financial mess that the Barca has been in the last 6, 7 years. We're basically slowly clawing out of that, right? Somewhere we won a league title. I don't know how that happened, but apart from that, I think it was a very difficult situation. It's still a very difficult situation. Now, unfortunately, we have sometimes played well within this, and so obviously, fans, we want more and more and more. But I don't think at the beginning of the season, when this team was, assimilated, at least I personally did not think we had a team to win trophies consistently at all. I was happy with the top four, with the team that we have, and the depth that we have at this moment. But now the question is, and Dom and me have often talked about, how long, right? This rebuild has been happening from 2017, 2018 onward. So that's about 6, 7 years. How long do we actually have to wait? And when does the money situation actually turn? When do we buy the players? When does it become a winning project? And is Flick the coach for that winning project? Those are discussions that we can have. But with this team, I don't know, Dom. I don't think we can do more than this. But you are a far more, what's the word? You're a more positive person than I am. So, your thoughts?
um, at the beginning of the season, I kept saying, okay, this team has a quality to challenge for La Liga. Now, do we have the depth? And that was my main issue. Can we actually sustain good form throughout the whole season? And now the cracks are kind of showing, but I still do believe on pure quality we can challenge for the title, right? And the good thing is also now we're actually past the past a very rough period of the season. Yes, it's the early stages, but it was a lot of away games, a lot of very tough fixtures all jumbled together. It was very busy as well. We'll get a lot more home games in the other stretch of the season as well, and now we can actually fight from a from a deficit, which doesn't seem like a good thing, but mentally it can be a bit of a relief, right? It can be something of a I don't know, just these young players might feel the pressure of being at the top constantly, right? So maybe if we need to claw our way back from a second position or third position, maybe it's a bit less of a mental pressure. I don't know if that's how it's going to pan out. Maybe it won't, but maybe that's one way to look at it. And also the home games, I think it will help. Now, of course, the fitness is another question. We are getting players back. Araujo is going to be, he is fit, but just not featuring. We have De Jong back, who's also not featuring, which is also interesting because tonight we had De Jong on the bench, we had Torre on the bench, but Eric Garcia was the one coming in. That was very interesting to me as well, to note. But yes, we do have some more depth than we had at the beginning of the season, so maybe that's a good sign as well. We'll have more home games, which is also a good sign. Now, I don't know what the schedule will look like. It's probably going to be equally busy,
Equally busy.
especially yeah. So we can't really
It
count
might be
on,
a little bit easy depending on, like, I mean, I don't know what our depth in CDR will be or how far we'll go in
yeah,
Champions League in
yeah.
Feb, right? So Feb will be tough. But for all of us who are giving up right now, the fact of the matter is La Liga is always like this. You win games, and we have
Hmm.
seen this. You can be eighth or ninth in the table.
Yeah,
Between February and May, you string wins. You can win this thing, but you have to win,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Now, can we do that? Football, tough
yeah.
game. We can.
Exactly. Uh, and that's about tonight as well. I mean, this to me, now the first half was such a good experience for me. I enjoyed watching
It was
Barca
just
so much.
love watching. Yeah.
It was let's say champagne, liquid football, whatever you want to call it. Now the question remains: how do we make this into a sustainable thing? Right? What does this depend on? Because one week we are absolutely crap, the other week we are this, whatever this was tonight. Right? It was the exact. Actually, I mean, we were kind of we were good in the last couple of games, just the results were not good, right? So it's how do we make this performance sustainable, but also add the goals to it as well. It's a tricky one, right? It's a very tricky one, but in a vacuum, this is something obviously you want this, and that's I'm thinking this is a positive because this performance is what can eventually lead into you being a very very scary team, right? If you can
Yeah,
replicate
because
this
the game
more
was
and more
simply
often,
outstanding.
yeah.
The way we
So
played today was outstanding. Like
mhm,
it is for the
mhm.
football purists, and we often say that oh, we
Yeah.
don't know care how we care how we win, right? That was how football is played. So we played very well, but
Mhm.
Cholo Simeone got his first win on us in 18 years.
Yeah, that's the big thing. And I saw so many Real Madrid accounts on Twitter just say, "Oh, Atletico bottle job. They're never gonna win against Barca. So they do it on purpose." And there you go. But yeah, I mean, that was just a simple
It's just
Atletico
things that
game.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it's football, but it's also Cholo Simeone because this was like a signature game from him as well. I saw that quote earlier where he said, "We're just not going to attack." I'm not sure if that was a fake quote or a real quote, but it sounds real because that's what he would say. Um, how do we beat the offside trap? Simple. We don't attack. We don't even attack. That's what they did. And then the two shots that they had, they scored goals, and
Yeah,
that's
they had two shots. They scored two goals,
uh,
and we were suspect at it, and they played their game, and we couldn't again hold on at the end. And this is not the first time that we have not been able to close out a game or lock out a game. And Flick needs to learn how to. That's the only thing that I would put on Flick. That okay, you are 1-1, 90th minute, right? You shut out the game. And
yeah,
this has happened before as well. The only thing that I would put on Flick today is that, yes, he's a great coach, a lot of attacking impetus and so on and so forth. But this is not the first time that this has happened this season. When you are in an advantageous position with this team, this depth, whatever it is, and you're at minute 90, you shut the game out. As simple as that. Do whatever it takes, however ugly it is, you should just shut the game out. And he didn't. And this is not the first time. So that's the only thing that I would put on Flick. Apart from that, yeah, Shopnil, we are all gutted, and we've been gutted for 7 years, multiple
yeah.
occasions, many match days, and I think it is not stopping here. It will continue because those of us who have been supporting Barca for, I don't know, I've been for what, 30 years right now. So yeah, I don't think it's stopping today, but this one is a hard one to take, and it is going to be hard to return from this one. I do agree because of the nature in which it was done and the last
Yeah.
minute.
It is. It is heartbreaking, but again, as I said, if we can just take this performance as a big win, which, I know in this current situation and being Barca as a brand, as a this footballing giant, you always need to look at the results as well. And this result is obviously horrible, but just focus on the performance and see how can we actually make this performance sustainable. How can we make it repeatable? And then if we can actually manage that, I have no fear. Not maybe not for this season, but the project itself. That's what gives you hope. That's what gives you like long term thing is always going to be the performance, right? And tonight was good. It was good. Just the result was horrible. So that's something to take out of this. It's bad, but it's also there's also little rays of sunshine here and there. It's not really, you don't need sunglasses or anything, but it's little rays here and there. And sometimes you just have to take that because otherwise we're just gonna be bummed out. So don't let this ruin your Christmas and New Year. Barca are Barca going to continue whether we feel happy or sad or whether we win or lose. It doesn't change our lives that much. It can be sad tonight, but tomorrow don't let it ruin your Sunday.
Yeah. To your point is registering Olmo and Victor. I think that's an important point. I mean, registration will be an important. I think I don't know what they will pull out of their hat this time around. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with these registrations because there's not much that much time left to do it. Oh, we get to know sooner or later. My point is, like, even if you do register them and play them and what have you, I mean, what is the actual winning? What is a contribution in a win is the question. Almost for sure, yes. In the beginning half of the season, some games, 100%. But lately, for a large run of games, after he came back from his injury, he hasn't been the same and hasn't had the same impact. It's just what it is, and that's been quite a while for that. Uh, from that point of view, the other thing is. Why do we need Olmo instead? Barca could have gone for Nico or another winger. I think Barca tried very hard to go for a Nico or a winger. They just didn't have the money, or they couldn't guarantee registration. That is why Nico did not come through, and Olmo did. He was ready to take that risk or what have you, and he came. And that's just what it is. It was not anything else. It's not that Barca did not want to sign Nico or Laporta did not try to sign Nico. They went all in all summer, every week it was like, oh, Nico is coming. Oh, Nico, winked at us. He liked some freaking picture on Instagram, and then we are like fucking going crazy, absolutely,
Yeah.
because somebody liked something, and that was it. And then it was the Euros, and then Nico is playing with us, and he just hangs with the Barca boys, and so on and so forth. So yeah, he didn't come, and because he didn't have money for that. Yeah, sure, you can blame Laporta, you can blame Barca, what have you, but we just don't have the money, and we still don't have the money, and we're not going to have the money in the winter season, and we're not going to have the money even in summer. That's
Mhm.
just what it is. We won't have the money, right? So now, apart from that, could we have got better, squad selection? Yes, I do think if you look at Liverpool, the way they scout players, the way they bring players out of nowhere, and those players perform, is Barca there? No. I would love for Barca scouting department to be like that and find players like that, but Barca hasn't been like that. So yes, that I would agree that okay, maybe our scouting should be better, given that this is the team that we have, this is the money that we have, it's reality. So let's really use maths and data and science and find the right kind of players who can fill and provide the value, which we haven't been able to do for sure. That can be blamed on the team, but apart from that, I don't think like we didn't want Nico, we wanted it. He just didn't come because we didn't have the money to give the guarantee that hey, you will play this so many games and here's some money and you will be registered. That's just basically what it happens, you know. Um, all right, something more. I won't be the last minute. We are not willing to be pushed against Betis and Vigo. We were up. They were messed up. Today was unlucky. It happens. Agreed, Andre. We were pushing. We were pushing for the win, right? But you've got to see where we are. You've got to look at that point table. A draw would have been still better, right? Not because we would have got too many more points, but because Atleti wouldn't have. That's just basically it, right? When you're not winning, when your team's confidence is not on the rise, when you have not been crushing teams for a while, 6 or 7 matches, you see all these pointers. And as you rightly pointed out, Betis, Figo, right? We let those teams matches go. So yeah, that's something on Flick that he has to figure it out. Everybody carries something or the other. Like he's the coach, he's the manager, He's the face of the team from that perspective. So, um, yeah, Dom, any thoughts?
Yeah, for Barca, it's not so much about parking the bus and then defending for their lives. It's more about defending with the ball, right, in possession. So the quicker the ball goes forward, the quicker it goes back. That's the saying, right? And if you want to kind of retain the lead and not really push it too much, that's what you do as Barcelona. You keep the ball, and you use your players in the best possible way they can be used, and that is by having to touch the ball a lot and not having the position near that ball. Because if we are in so many defensive transitional moments, of course you're not going to get the best of this team and you're going to suffer. So if you don't want to pile on top of that goal or that lead that you may have, then that's the way to slow down the game. It's not about being in a defensive position, but being in a controlled possession phase or state, whatever you want to call it. That's one thing. The other thing is I want to touch upon something that someone else said, that Olmo was not a difference maker, something like that. In absence of Lamine Yamal for the last couple of games, Pedri was the one to step up, actually.
Yeah,
And to me, that was a big, big thing as well, because Pedri, well, he can be absolutely brilliant. He can be the best midfielder in the world. Can he actually affect the team in such a drastic
can
measure?
he lift them up?
Yeah, exactly. And today he has, and for the last couple of games he has as well. So I think that's a big, big positive. Pedri was, it was simply let down by the rest of the team for the last couple of games because he earn those points, would be points, would be wins more than anyone else. And I'm very, very happy to see actually Pedri taking that mantle or taking the role of the leader of the game breaker, of someone who can magically create things for Barca. Sadly, he doesn't always score those goals, right? The best he can do most times is create for others, and then it's up to them to score those goals. Whereas Lamine has a similar problem, but he's a bit more of a goal scorer. Also, not a very consistent high volume goal scorer yet, a bit more than Pedri still. Um, so I'm happy with that as well. That's another positive I have. And also Gavi is another positive because Gavi, Pedri, and Castro had a quiet game, a bit quiet, more quiet game. But as a trident in midfield in the 4-3-3 with two number eights ahead of a pivot, that worked really well. I love that. That was just liquid. They were so moving so much around, like busy bees, right? They were just interchanging position. Whenever a center back steps up, number eight goes up, pivot goes here, and then if you're on the left side, Pedri goes up, Gavi tucks in. If on the right side, Gavi goes up, Pedri tucks in. It was beautiful, right? It was so many movements, so many different combinations.
That's good.
You don't get that with anyone else apart from this trident. Pedri, Gavi, and Casado are the La Masia boys. I know Olmo is a La Masia guy as well, but even with Olmo, you don't get that. And this made me happy, especially in the first half. So another positive is that.
Absolutely. If nothing happens, right? We're looking for positives, right? If nothing happens, and this combination of Pedri, Gavi, and Casado actually gel stronger together and become better together, that's a huge thing that will help us in years to come before, because they're very young players.
And you
Very.
put Bernal instead of Casado, not this on Casado, but Bernal in that trident, boom, a lot more.
There's a lot. Because you've got to think by section, the defense, the midfield, and then we'll talk about the striker situation and so on and so forth. But even if we get that going, right, and as Dom pointed out, the La Masia boys coming together, really shoring up that midfield for the next decade, that's a win. That's a huge win, right? And somebody, Andre, to your point, you're saying, and this is what we have said this again, and you're saying the right thing. We were overperforming massively when we had that 9-point lead, and now we are back to mean. Absolutely right. We're just back to mean. And if you look at the teams and the forms that they have been, and the kind of talent that they have, so if you look at Atleti's roster and bench strength, if you look at Madrid's roster, bench strength, and you compare to Barca, it's okay. It's right. Barca being in third position, I
Yeah.
would say it's right from just the eye test. If you look into it, but as fans, we obviously want them to win, and we were in a very good place to do that. But now we have stumbled, and that's where the frustration is. That's where the anger is, and that's where the irritation that comes out. Somebody asks that we can, Van Lee. So hey, Van, we can only afford a top level winger or striker. What would you guys prefer, Dom?
Winger, winger, because I think if you put Lewandowski in this situation where he doesn't have to do much more apart from score goals, and you consistently create for him, he'll still score goals. He is in a kind of a slump. He's missing things that he would never usually miss. I think there's a way for Lewandowski out of this. He's obviously not a long-term solution. He's a one more year tops kind of solution. But you do have Ferran. You can test Rafinha there. You can play almost a false nine. You can make things happen. I think you can make things happen even without Lewandowski there, and without a top striker. So I would go for left winger because we don't have depth on the wings that is
at all.
equal quality, not at all, right? So Fermin was the weak link. Imagine a proper winger there on that left side tonight, and it's a completely different game because Fermin, I don't dislike Fermin. Right? I think he
Ferman's a
has
great
his
player. I don't
yeah,
think he's been
yeah,
used in the right way by Flick. It never has been.
mm,
I think Xavi got him.
mm,
There was something between coach and player, and
yeah,
then he performed well with Flick. Furman has never performed well with Flick. That's the truth. You can go back the entire season. So that's what it is. But and then to Dom's point, like I think a winger, I would agree with him because I don't know if there is a good striker who would come. That's the first question that I have. Like, if you want a striker, who we get? That's the first
mm,
question. So, and when Lamine is not there, and Lamine is 17 years old, let's just remember that. And today he wasn't there. Then you have no threat from any wing when you don't
yeah.
have a left winger, right? And that is not the way a top team can win in today's world, in the way football is played today. So yes, a left winger immediately, a good one if possible. Those are still available. Some of them will come and play
Yeah.
for Barca,
They will.
um, without
And
a doubt.
also, it also unlocks Balde. See tonight, Fermin was far from an ideal profile. But what he did allow is for Balde to defensively be mostly focused on the deep areas and central areas. That's a plus because you don't have to have him go up and down the pitch all the time. Offensively, also less responsibility for Balde at times because Fermin would be there in those zones. He wasn't very effective there, but at least he allowed Balde to be more Balde. Now, the thing is, I didn't particularly like I wasn't really in awe of Balde's performance either, but he was okay. He was
It was
decent. He
okay.
wasn't bad. Right, he was okay. So I think this is the blueprint, and now obviously Balde has to improve on that. But that's the blueprint. Have a dominant winger ahead of him. Obviously, Fermin is not a dominant winger ahead of Balde, but at least in role, he somehow, somewhat mimicked what that would be, right? So at least in terms of responsibility in different zones. Okay, this is Fermin zone, this is Balde's zone, right? Okay, so that's the difference. And that kind of allows Balde to focus more on the things that we know are his strengths anyway. And that's on paper, at least, how you bring the best out of Balde at this moment, right?
I
So,
don't know. Like, do you really think in a 4-3-3 Furman persists? Like a 4-4-2, a box midfield, I still think, Furman has a place along with, because you can't leave Pedri, Gavi, and Casado or Bernal. Like, you can't, they will play, right? Um, I just don't know where his
no, I
position
mean,
is.
no, he's not gonna dethrone or displace any of those players.
He
He
can't
is
he can't remove a top level left winger.
No, 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 no. I'm not
Especially,
saying that. I'm just saying that he can be used as some sort of inverted left wing, not a withholding creative dribbler. That's not what he is. He's a ball striking movement type of merchant, kind of like Ferran, only he doesn't really attack space as much, right? He will be at the end of passes around the box. That way he exploits space. He can
he can run between the lines, the channels. He's very good at that, and he can attack the box in that way and then and
yeah,
score, which we saw him do that very well
yeah, yeah.
last season because Xavi's team played in that manner. So they played to his strength. Flick's team does not play in that manner at all. So he doesn't have the space in which he can thrive, and that's why we are not seeing him perform at all. So he has become surplus to the requirement. Is basically what has happened.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I wouldn't
unfortunately.
have him. I wouldn't have him in any of the high volume touches roles, right? I wouldn't have him between the lines like Gavi and Pedri tonight. We're outstanding between the lines, even in the puck. But see, last time, what was last stream? We talked about Omar, who couldn't really get on the ball in a tight block, right? We talked about
And
that
he
because
still can't. He still
yeah.
can't.
But look at Gavi today. I thought he was much more involved than Olmo would have been because he was moving where the space was. Okay, I don't have space to receive here. I will just peel a bit back, peel a bit wide, go move here, move there.
Gavi's
Okay,
performance was actually a
yeah,
silver lining today.
yeah, it was,
Compared
it
to what
was,
he has been performing in the last after he came back from injury, he was pretty good today. Pretty
yeah.
good.
and he knew how to. I would have loved to see him more on the ball even, but it was tough against this low block. However, he still moved well to get into those positions, to get the ball, to ask for the ball, and to actually impact play. Whereas Olmo in these situations, at least in the last couple of games, he just wasn't able to make a decision on where to move and how to move to actually give himself the space to receive the passes and impact the overall play. Right.
Yeah.
So that was the difference, and Gabi could do that. And in the first half, it was liquid. It was really beautiful, right? So again, yeah, silver lining. And I think if you put Thurman in any of those roles, he doesn't do that. He just can't do that. So I think that is kind of a problem here, right? He can be this low volume touches kind of winger who has box crashing and ball striking. That's Fermi at the moment. So you either play him as a number 10 who doesn't really touch the ball a
And
lot and attack the
yes,
space, yeah, or you play him as some sort of this second striker inverted forward off the left side where he
only two
inverts,
positions that he can play.
crashes. Yeah,
Only
yeah,
two positions. I completely
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah,
And unfortunately, Flick does not play in that manner. And this is where I
yeah. This is
feel, as long as Flick is our coach, I mean, hard to say it, but maybe it's better off for him to find another team. That's just basically what it is. He'll never shine in this team in the way Flick plays his football. That's just what it is. He's perfect for a Xavi type of coach, and he will shine in that, and that's why Fern was so prominent in Xavi's team selection. But with Flick, it's going to be super hard. Now with Man City's downfall, I don't think so. Honestly, Van, I don't think there's as much love between Man City and Barca as it's made out to be. Honest,
yeah,
like they paid a bunch of money and then they took the people that created this style of football and the people left because for the money. There's no love involved in this. If there was love, then yes, Pep Guardiola should have come back and coached Barcelona. There's none. Let's just be honest about it. Like what was in the past, it's okay, but they're not coming back and they don't really care. On news bites is something else, so you have to say for PR purposes, so you say it, but they went for the money. They went for the money. They went for the support, and there's nothing wrong in that. Like I would have gone for the money if somebody paid me the money. So it's okay. We're all in this for the money. So why not? They didn't come like they didn't sign a contract that they'll be for Barcelona for life. So nah, it's fine. And Man City's downfall. I mean, Man City is a different team. They have different other problems. We have so many other problems. I don't think we have time to think about anything else except the fact that somehow we're going to get out of the slump and make money because if we don't win, the sponsorships are going to dry up, and if that happens, then there are other problems that are going to come in. So that's basically what That's just my take on this.
yeah. I would agree. I don't think there's much love between those two clubs. Yes, Pep is the obvious link, and there have been some players moving here, back and forth there, but I just don't think there's such a thing in football in general. I remember people were saying that about Ajax as well. Barca and Ajax in the Champions League final, holding hands together. That just doesn't happen. And
Nobody
I don't think,
cares.
yeah, it's
Everybody's
just
for their own, and just think about it, man. Like the man who gave us an 8-2 is our coach. This is football.
yeah.
That should tell you everything about love and loyalty in football and then so on. So yeah, it's just what it is. Okay, we've been at this for a while and it's
Yeah.
been a tough one to take, and this will leave most of us with a very bad taste in our mouth as we go into the holidays. But yeah, this is football, right? At least okay, 19 games done, 38. We're in the worst point situation in the last 3 seasons at
Mhm.
this juncture, which is not what we thought would be. So someone like Xavi Hernandez will be feeling a little better today somewhere. I would if I was him after all the press criticism that I had to take and so on. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard. And I don't see us getting up till 80, 85 points. But that said, as Dom said, there are no clear favorites in this title season because it's been one of those seasons. I still think that if we can, put up a stretch of wins in the next half of the season, which we are capable of, we can still pull off a miracle or what have you. I don't think we're going to win Champions League. There's no way. I just don't see that happening. So for now, I would say yeah, top four and a decent run in the Champions League, so that we earn some money, and that's about it. That's the season that I would be calling right now. Dom, what's your take?
I think we can still win La Liga. I'm gonna go with that. I think we can still win La Liga. I'm not gonna say it's a guarantee. I'm not gonna say it's like 100% or anything like that. But I still think we can win La Liga. I think the schedule might be a bit more, lean towards us a bit more, at least with the home games, and I think we've been good enough to beat or win some of these matches that we have lost to. So it is about getting out of this slump. Absolutely, it is. But I still think on pure quality, we can beat anyone in La Liga at the moment, or
Yeah, we can. On our day, we can beat any team. It's just the consistency
yeah,
and that stuff. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in the return games this year with Atleti and Madrid. Those will be interesting games to watch. Just from a team's mentality standpoint of view, how do they take
mhm,
it? How do they deal with this, and how do they come back and play?
yeah,
Discussion on Lewandowski and everything will continue. Hopefully, the break does them a little good, and they can come back, but there are no easy games in La Liga. Let's
no.
just be very honest. We lost to Las Palmas. So, guys, it's just no easy games. The next 19 games are going to be hard. Hopefully, we try and win them. That's the only way to win the league. And if we can't, then it's a top four finishes. It's just what we are looking at. I personally don't see us. Maybe a winger can come, maybe a good winger can come, but I don't think apart from that, the team is also undergoing any major revolution anytime soon. We just don't have the money.
Yeah, that's the thing. So how realistically, how much of an improvement can we expect for next season, right? In terms of just squad depth and squad quality and new arrivals. I don't know. There's a lot of noise, and I'm sure Laporta will want someone to come in, but realistically, we don't know. And Dev is working on a piece on our finances, so we will have more data and more insight on that. But at this moment, I just don't see a huge signing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Um, but obviously, we do need something. We do need more. I
We
think
need
we're gonna.
something to change the dynamic, the momentum. I do agree with you. Something that changes the media, the momentum, or what have you. So we don't know whether that's happening.
Mm,
And yeah, I mean, no, we're not saying right now how bad or good Lewandowski is. Lewandowski can also be very good, but the thing is, you cannot build a team with a 36-year-old striker. It's just what it is.
that is
If you're
true.
serious about building a team that will compete for trifles, trophies, whatever, for the next 10 years, decades, if this is what super clubs do, then Lewandowski is not your answer. It doesn't matter even if he scores 30 goals this season, he's still not your answer. You've got to find those players who mature with you over the next 10 years, right? And that's not
Yeah,
what we have. So
yeah,
there's problem in that sense. It will be, yeah, somebody's just said Athletic is also behind us. Yes. So as I said, top four, it's not going to be easy. Everybody's going to chase us. So we'll see what we can do in the next half of the season. And yeah, this one is tough. This is really tough. We played well today. We really played well today.
yeah. Well, there you have it, guys. We've been at it for about an hour, so I think this is where we can actually call it quits. It was not the well, it was a good performance, but not the result we wanted, obviously. But I think there are some silver linings, as we have alluded to. We're not all negative. You see, we can find silver linings as well in games, even like games like these. Because personally, I really love the first half, and that gave me a lot of hope, not just for tonight, but in general. Like if this team can actually build on this, that's the key. Can we build on this? If we can, absolutely brilliant. I don't even mind this result if this is something a start of something that's really going to be long term and really really good. So there you have it, guys. We will have a podcast coming out as well in the next couple of days, so make sure to check out that. We will have some pieces on the blog as well and some videos. We are getting a bit more active on TikTok and Instagram as well, so please do give
Yeah.
us a follow there. As always, Twitter is also a place where you can find most of our musings, our thoughts and ideas and pieces and threads and all that sort of thing. And all your support is greatly appreciated. There's how many? 1,300 today? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
1400. And this is a good thing, like we are also like thinking next year, what do we do, right? Like, those the then New Year comes and you start thinking about, okay, this year I'm going to do these amazing things, right? So we are also thinking, me and Dom were discussing, okay, we've been doing this for a while. What's the new that we do? Just like Barca, right? So it would be good to have your thoughts into that. What do you guys want us to do better or worse or not do or do or start new? So on and so forth. So it would be good to have those thoughts because you guys are the reason why we do it. Honestly, we don't really make any money out of this. like zero. So so if you guys can come ahead, and we can also do a live and then take your thoughts on that in terms of, you know, any ideas that you feel that we can bring in, that'll be good, because we are also planning about the, you know, how do we you know, shake up the dynamic a little bit as we go into next year about what we do here at Buzz Football. So yeah, we'll look forward to your thoughts and views on that. But thanks for joining, as always. It was wonderful to have you. A very tough one to take, guys. Sorry. So we will drink that pain with you tonight as we go to sleep. What have you? Have a good one. We'll see you again in the new year. And till then, Biscay Barca.